The referendum and the Brexit vote are certainly polarised opinion. In my first vlog, I explained how, in my eyes, Birmingham had lost its power to sway Westminster over the last 30 years. In this vlog, I will explain how the two main parties themselves have changed in my eyes within the last 30 years. Now, for 29 years of observation condensed into 5 minutes, 1987 was the year I started to take an interest in politics. In the blue corner, Margaret Thatcher of the right, heavy manufacturer killer, flogger of the council houses and utility companies, or, as the old Tory PM Harold Macmillan famously said, seller off of the family silverware, and deregulator of the city, as the money men didn't need regulations, just their own moral and ethical conduct would suffice for that.
The stock market will be a car park in 5 years' time. I'll have made a fortune, and that's what I want.
Christ, what a knobhead. Well, as you can see, I was no fan of Mrs T. In the red corner, Neil Kinnock of the left, champion of the poor, voice of 3 million unemployed, of which I was one, and low paid, saviour of society. He was thrashed in the polls, Labour to spend a third term in opposition, socialism seemed dead in modern right-wing Britain. Then 3 years later, Thatcher was gone, brought down by the poll tax fiasco and by members of her own cabinet and replaced by John Major, a rather dour politician, not so right-wing as his predecessor, son of a trapeze artist. Ben Elton once joked that he was so boring he ran away from the circus to become an accountant. Recession biting deep and an uninspiring leader, the 1992 election was Kinnock's big chance for power. Labour had celebrities campaigning like Paul Weller and Billy Bragg. The Tories had Cliff Richard. Labour had US-inspired campaigns, all razzmatazz and style. Conservatives had Major on the soapbox echoed by passers-by. The polls had Labour in the lead right to the end.
Good evening. With only 4 days left before polling day, that suggests Labour have maintained a 3% lead. The Conservatives are on 37, Labour 40, and the Liberal Democrats' midweek improvement is sustained on 19%.
And they still lost. A fourth term in the wilderness for the Socialists. In 1994, a young Tony Blair became party leader. He was no fool. He realised in its current guise the Labour Party was unelectable and somewhat toxic to general voters. He knew he had to put the party away from its left-wing roots to a more centre-left position. With his cronies, he had plenty of those, including Fiscal Gordon Brown, Coordinator Alistair Campbell, and spin doctor Peter Mandelson. The brand new Labour was created. So successful was the transformation, many commentators likened it as the Conservatives with hope and flair. Noel Gallagher put it better than I ever could. When I voted for Blair, I thought I was voting for JF Kennedy. Turns out it was just John Major with better PR. You had to admit though, the Tories made it easy for Blair. After the 1992 win, it all fell apart for the Major. Economy still in recession, scandals, both of the brown paper bag stuffed with cash and sexual. God almighty, think of any offspring conceived by this. Even the head honcho was drinking from the furry cup of power. Can you think of any affair more shocking? Okay Sven, you win. And of course, the eternal bugbear of Europe dividing the cabinet. All this turmoil and the ascendancy of the slicker, younger, more dynamic Labour Party meant in 1997, and after 18 years in power, the Tories are out of office. Now it was the Conservatives' turn to spend time in the wilderness. Tony Blair's victory came at a perfect time. The country had come out of recession, and with a healthy economy to inherit and a global boom time to come economically, meant the good times roll through to the noughties. He was the right man at the right time. Some would say he was the wrong man at the right time, but I digress here. For a decade, opposition leaders came and went. First up, the balding man-child, that is William Hague. Next, Ian Duncan Smith, a man so forgettable I needed to Google it to find it actually held the post. Next, Michael Howard, who Anne Widdecombe famously said as having something of the night about him. all failed to connect with the electorate, while New Labour continued to have an extended honeymoon of power despite scandals galore and mutterings of absolute power. In fact, as an opposition, they were impotent. Hell, they even sided with Blair over the weapons of mass destruction lie and subsequent Iraq war, for goodness sake. What opposition is that? Then in 2005, Howard was out in his ear and the Conservatives went for youth and David Cameron. He, like Blair, was no fool. He realised, like Blair, the party was out of touch with the electorate and was a toxic brand, the nasty party. Like Blair, he amassed chums to help, mostly from the well-educated elite. In order to change the brand, he took the party away from the right to the centre ground. Within 5 years, he had power, just about. Even with the global crunch of 2007, when the financial institutions overcooked the books too much and the government had to bail out some of the banks, and with it, the subsequent recession from it, Cameron could not gain full power and needed a coalition with the Lib Dems to gain control. All that changed last year when he and his brand of soft conservatism gained overall power. However, as we know, the old bugbear of Europe came to topple him. Now, note how the course of 30 years has changed the two established powers. In 1987, the right-wing Conservative Party beat the left-wing Labour Party. Last year, the centre-right, with a small r, Conservatives, beat the centre-left with a small l, Labour. In fact, most of the policies are interchangeable with each other. Two perfect examples are these. Under the coalition, gay marriage is legalised. No bad thing, and Cameron felt it to be a personal crusade of his. But it's certainly not a policy associated with the Tories, and boy did they feel uneasy passing it. And a decade ago, our last car giant, Rover, was privatised, assets stripped and the carcass tossed aside, with thousands losing their jobs in Birmingham. We always worried this may happen under a Tory government, but it actually happened under Labour instead. Older people may remember when Labour split and some of the more centre-leaning members founded the SDP party, shades of Labour 2016 here. Now, the parties merged with the Liberals, but the concept of the SDP can be applied to both main parties now. Instead of the left, the viewpoint of the community, and the right, the viewpoint of the individual, both parties now share a common ground. They are both Social Democrats in all but name. Now, there are some positives in a Social Democratic government. The obvious one being no radical change when governments change. Economically, nothing changes policy-wise, and socially, subtle changes, but no radical and seismic shifts one way or the other. For many people and businesses, no change is good. But for millions of working class people, no change means nothing changes for them and their circumstances. As I explained in my first vlog, voters in marginal seats make governments, and people in marginal seats vote for their own aspirations, not necessarily for the greater good of the country or for the downtrodden masses with no political crowds. Thank you for watching. Please like and comment to any of the issues raised on here. In my next few vlogs, I'll come to the core issues that swayed the vote to leave, and the next on will be the main one, immigration. Till next time, bye.